Hey everyone out there in sober dating land. I wanted to talk to you about a recent experience I had and share it with you as part of the process of garnering and gathering tools, not only for sober dating, but for sober partnerships, which is not something that anything in my background prepared me for, or taught me, or parented me in any of that direction. So why am I talking about this? Because recently we had a little drama in our family with a procedure that our beloved cat underwent. And there was some miscommunication. I think there were some maybe cutting of corners, that kind of thing. And when I was made aware of it, first thing I did was consider what needed to happen for my family. What needed to happen. You know, this is an integral part of our family. This is an integral part of my spouse's serenity. What exactly immediately needed to happen? Well, what needed to happen was a massive cleanup on aisle 8 with hydrogen peroxide. When we brought him home, he came out of his carrier, shook his head, and crime scene. So that was not what I intended to do when I got home that afternoon. What I was thinking about was a nap. What I was thinking about was how low my energy was. What I was thinking about was, hot shower, change of clothes, warm fuzzy PJs, that kind of thing. So why is this such a dramatic change for me? Well, nobody in my family of origin prepared me for this, but I saw in the recovery journey, emulated for me by my sponsor in his relationship with his family, in other outreach colleagues, people I chose to be in my God Squad, I saw them making sacrifices and changing directions for the betterment of the unit. And this is what's called leadership. You know, oftentimes we think of leadership as telling people what to do. But leadership at its very humble core is thinking about the betterment of the unit, thinking about unity, thinking about that from a standpoint of what can I do to contribute to the unity, to return us. I had an experience once in an Al-Anon meeting of all places where I was chairing, and this was a very serious commitment. This is where I learned like all my Al-Anon black belt tools, boundaries and detachment. And we would come in after an AA meeting, and we would also end in an AA meeting, would come in. And where this was on South Beach, we very often had drunks or people that were coming in drunk or on something. And we had someone there and they were asked to leave, and there was drama when they left. They were escorted out by a couple of my big Al-Anon brothers. And I looked around that room, and what I saw was a room full of terrified Al-Anons. And I thought to myself, what needs to happen here? Well, the decision I made, and it was the right decision, was to go ahead, to forge ahead with the meeting, right? We needed a meeting. That's why we were there. We needed a meeting. So I read the script. I didn't stop to talk about or process what happened or share. I read the script. And so yesterday I made a similar decision. I stayed home. I cleaned the wall as best as I could. And just so you know, if you're getting blood off of a textured wall that was not intended to be washed, Q-tips and hydrogen peroxide. Washcloth might rub off the paint a little bit. I have to repaint that wall. And then I drove up to talk to the veterinarian, and I asked to speak to someone, and I made a couple statements. So how did I do that, right? I made a decision. I grounded myself. I made a decision, right? We talk about love being a thoughtful, committed decision rather than a feeling by which we're overwhelmed. When I have confronted people in the past, I've done it as a feeling I'm overwhelmed. This time I did it as a grounded, conscious decision for my family. And knowing a couple things about my spouse that I know is she is not great at confrontation. But if you've heard me speak about service, here's why. Al-Anon may be great at confrontation, especially the Midwest call at 6 a.m. We went through some growing pains a couple years ago. Serving as an intergroup chair for Overeaters Anonymous, the Broward intergroup. Gold Coast. Was that Gold Coast? Yes, Gold Coast. Some experiences that I had in Debtors Anonymous with autonomy and keeping the meeting for the meeting, right? To help the maximum, right? The traditions of helping the most people. So I spoke to the vet tech. And the other concern that we had was the fact that his ear was bleeding profusely, and that's why the wall got sprayed with blood. And has he had an eardrum punctured, and will he lose his hearing? So all of that I did because I knew I could come home and I could answer some additional questions and I could help restore the serenity in my house. I did that for my family. I had no interest, right, when I got home that day of doing that. And then what else did I do? I made a temporary bed in the bathroom and I stayed there so that my wife could get some sleep. And we kept an eye on him. So this is what I'm talking about. And this was not something where I got any of this from my family of origin. Quite the contrary. Anytime anything happened in my family of origin where we really needed leadership or we really needed a supportive, sober parent to stand up, my dad would leave. And that's the bottom line. I never saw that emulated for me. I was that person in many, many cases. And I stopped being that person for that family of origin because they're takers. There's no teamwork there. There's no leadership there. But this is something that I've learned. And through the third step, right, which is the grace of higher power, I've learned that it's safe and I can do this as a conscious decision to the betterment of my family. So I'm talking about sober dating. I'm talking about developing a partnership. I'm talking about developing a family and being a part of that as a sober, committed person and making those thoughtful decisions to take care of that family. Sober dating, y'all. If I can do it, you can do it.